Fish, anyone? I'm going to continue the series of the Daf Yomi, and we're talking all about hot and cold fish in today's Daf Yomi in the Talmud. We are on Masechet Kiddushin on page number 25, and the story is going to break out how we get into this discussion within regards to the differences between potentially hot and cold fish. Dug, they call it in Hebrew. Actually, dug is a gematria of 7, which is named Shabbat. That's why some people would eat dug fish on Shabbat. So a story happens here. It's related over in the Gemara today, where the elders of the city of a place called Nezonia, which some people say was near the Bavel, the town Bavel, did not attend Rav Chista's lecture. The Rabbonim of Nezonia didn't attend Rav Chista's lecture. Over there, Rav Chista was giving a lecture. So Rav Chista instructed Rab Hamnuna to excommunicate them for the failure to attend, since they didn't attend for it. When Rav Hamnuna, great rabbi, inquired into their absence, the elders, those rabbis in that area, explained that they no longer necessarily show the respect they once had to Rav Chista, since he refused to respond to one of their questions. One time they asked him a question and they didn't respond to it. So Rav Hamnuna offered to listen to their question and respond, but upon hearing this specific question, he could not come up with a specific answer. You know, sometimes it's tough questions, sometimes not so tough questions. So the Gemara relates that the elders ended up, let's just say, in a way, tease him, saying, your name is not Hamnuna, but Karnuna. So the whole discussion comes about, what does Hamnuna mean and what does Karnuna mean? So some of the Rishonim, they give different opinions within regards to everything, but at the end of it, many of the Rishonim, they actually follow the approach of Rabbi Hananel, who had this approach, that it is a play of words. What does the word Hamnuna mean? It means hot fish over here. This is not necessarily hot coming in the freezer, but especially the Moroccans will make this hot on Shabbat, and implying tasty fish, the hot fish is. And the word, and Karnuna, what does Karnuna mean, friends? It means a cold fish over here, which you would say, a lot of people would say, not everyone would say, the cold fish might be not as tasty within regards to it. So why is this? What's the mashal over here? What's let's just say the connection over here? Just as he had an inability to respond to their question and left them disappointed, it was something cold he did over there, let's just say, and it was like cold fish. It wasn't so tasty. However, the Hamnuna itself is considered the hot fish, and it comes to a many lessons can be learned from this. Obviously, this was, you could say, in a way, potentially banter, this specific discussion over it, but many lessons can be learned from it. You know, unlike this mashal, a great rabbi once said, if someone asks a question to somebody else within regards to rendering something within regards to the Torah, sometimes if you don't know, say you don't know. Over here he said he didn't know. You know, that's the first things first. But another thing is, one thing is, on Shabbat, as I stated before, we have dug, you know, whatever. Many different communities would have different kinds of fish on Shabbat. Some people would have salmon, some people would have gefilte fish, white fish, whatever it might be. But dug on is a gematria of 7, as I said before. Dalet is 4 and Gimel is 3. That equals to 7. And that very much is a microcosm of Shabbat. The number Shabbat, it's a 7th day. And that's what we eat on Shabbat. Many people will have on the Su'udah Shlishit, and also the Le'el Shabbat, on the Friday night meal. Fish of some sort, and how important it is, and what a great food it is also. In fact, I'll leave you guys with, speaking that we're talking about fish and we're talking about Shabbat. There's one of the famous stories of Shabbat within regards to a person called named Yosef Mokir Shabbat, or you could translate it in English, Joseph that honors the Shabbat. So friend, what happened over here in this story? There was a man called Joseph that lived, related over in the Talmud in Masechet Shabbat, that lived, and he worked hard the whole week and saved up the whole week to buy the best food, the most lavish possible food for Shabbat. He would work hard, and during the week he wouldn't eat such lavish meals, because he told his family members they were saving money so that he could buy the most splendor food for Shabbat. So a story once happened where there was a man in the town, a wicked man in the town that was really, really wealthy. And one of the stargazers came to him and had a dream or whatever it might have been, and said, you know what, sir, you know what's going to happen? That I have had a dream that this guy Joseph, who lives here, the Jewish guy, the very religious, pious guy, he is going to acquire all your wealth. So the guy said, no, I've got all these orchards, I've got all these trees, these jungles, whatever it might be. He was worth millions. So he says, you know what? I'm going to sell it all and buy a valuable margalit, a very, very expensive pearl, worth millions and millions. So he does that. He puts it under his hat and is walking in by the sea river banks and everything else. And then a big gust of wind comes and boom, the hat falls down along with the jewel. He's desolate, he's devastated, he's lost his jewel over here worth millions. It's in the sea. He goes back home devastated. A few hours later, it's about to be Shabbat soon. The fishermen are coming, and what they find, a gigantic fish. But it's about to be Shabbat. It's not going to be worth so much, because who can they sell it to? It's going to be forbidden to sell it on Shabbat to the people. But they turn around and say, you know, there's this one guy over here, Yosef Mokir Shevet, let's go to him. For sure he's going to want to buy the fish, for sure. They come to him, knock on the door, and Joseph comes in, opens the door and says, they ask him, do you want to buy this delicious fish for Shabbat? So in his mind already, he was already bought a very incredible fish, where he says, you know what? I'm going to buy it anyway. I've already got a nice fish. I'm going to buy this one. So he gets a fish, he opens the fish, and lo and behold, what does he find? He finds inside of it the jewel, inside of it, worth millions, and says, Ribbono shel olam, thank you so much for this. He realized because he spent so much money on Shabbat, Hashem rewarded him with bounty at the end, and he, let's just say, hit the jackpot with a lot of wealth and became an instant millionaire over here. So very, very interesting story, that one that honors the Shabbat, Hashem is going to honor them back. One of the ways of honoring the Shabbat itself is to have dag. So whatever way we eat it, whether it's a hot dag or whether it's a cold fish or whatever it might be, a smoked salmon like I've got over here, we still should have in mind we're having a lichvot Shabbat Kodesh. We're doing it to enjoy the meal and everything else. So it's an interesting story in the Talmud here in Kiddushin in 25 with regards to how we see that other people can mock other people's names, how we can see the greatness of fish, whatever it is, and how we, sometimes we should not necessarily answer a question if we don't know, but it shows the wisdom of a person if they do answer and correspond. I want to wish you all a fantastic day, and please watch the previous videos in the Daf Yomi.